Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf Weekly Podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner. We've got quite the show today. The Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship was in Lynchburg and was drama-free until it wasn't.
Well, Bedford County.
And Bedford County. Yeah, Lynchburg, Bedford County, you know. And yeah, I was on the grounds. I was as close as you could get to the action. I have all of the details you
Call
want.
him Coffee because he was grounds.
About what
Nice,
happened on
Trev.
hole 14. Even surveyed about 20 to 25 people out there because I thought maybe my eyes
Call
deceived
him
me.
Family Feud.
So don't worry, we got all that information coming your way. We'll have a Trevor's Trivia. The MVP fan base is scrambling a little bit because their precious Gyro might not be Gyro, turns out. We'll go through that. And then we have the final standings of the Manufacturers Cup. So loaded episode today.
And emotional episode.
And emotional episode today.
Would you like to explain why?
The last day on this current set.
We should have set that up like a little more intense. You should have said like, this is the last episode.
No,
of
I didn't want to
Grip
hurt
Lock.
people.
Well, then you just like
hurt.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's try.
After.
This will be the B. That was A. Let's do B right now, Hunter.
Okay, this is
Be a little more emotionally manipulative here.
understood.
Yeah.
And you know, unfortunately, this is gonna be the last episode of Grip Locked on this current set. We're moving over there.
God,
I
you
got 'em.
fools! What, are you crying right now?
I was. Yep.
We're moving across because we're expanding our team, and this is gonna be Konner's Corner here. So starting next week,
Ew, dude. Kon's Corner. We already gave it a name.
Kon's Corner.
Kon's
It's
Corner.
just kind of the corner Connor's going to reside in.
No, it's Kon's Corner now.
Original
Get your
Grip
street
Lock
sign.
had Corn's Corner. If you remember
Whoa.
far enough back,
Yeah,
we'd have Jeff Corns call in from the road, and it was Corn's Corner.
Yeah.
I had a little graphic for it in
That show
OBS
has
and
been
everything.
places,
This
man.
Can I
show's
get
been
that
through a lot.
graphic?
I don't think I still have it, but I'll
I
look
think we
for
found
it.
We're
it,
still going to
like,
be
a
grip
long
locked
time
as
ago.
you know it. We're just going to be.
We're adding Silas.
Just additive.
If
No
we're
adding
subtraction.
Silas.
If you're listening to this on audio, you probably
Well,
won't
they'll probably
care
hear
at all.
Silas's voice every once in a while.
That's true.
So they'll be
True.
like, whoa, who is that?
Might
It's
sound a
Silas.
little different. We'll be in a different place.
Yeah, we'll
Bass
be
traps.
over there.
traps.
Well, anyways, none of that's relevant for right now. Let's get into some ad reads and then kick this thing off. The first thing I got to tell you about is this Thursday. It all happens. Probably the most hyped series in Foundation Disc Golf history. The Imposter Disc Golf Reality Series Season 2, presented by Discmania, premieres Episode 1 Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time over on our main YouTube channel. I had pretty much everyone that came up to me this weekend at the Pro Tour Championship came up to tell me that they can't wait for Imposter. That was what they were walking up just to tell me, like, I cannot wait for Imposter. And as it should be. Very excited for it.
Every time I see a clip, man, I just get like the heebie-jeebies.
I just posted the house tour.
Yeah, that
if
in
you want to check
particular. That in particular gave me like sent a shockwave up my spine.
So
You
you
wanna
can
go
check
back?
that over on our
Y'all attend to
Instagram.
Stockholm?
You can check that on our Instagram. But Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
Sorry.
Check that out. Also got to take a moment to thank our sponsor today's episode, Manscaped. It's time to talk about stepping up your grooming game. The face-shaving products from Manscaped are the ultimate grooming tools designed to deliver precision and comfort in sleek, easy-to-use devices. Whether you're looking for a trim, a shape, or a detailed touch-up, Manscaped face-shaving products are built to handle shaving your face with ease. Crafted for efficiency and the perfect addition to your grooming arsenal, you can use code GRIPLOCK for 15% off your entire order over at manscaped.com. I just used some Manscaped facial shaving products this morning.
King Hunt.
Let's go, hon.
Yeah, I was getting a little long, a little scraggly. I was like, I gotta get this thing off my face.
I used my beard brush this morning.
There you go. So their lineup contains several things, but I'm going to tell you about the Handyman today. It's a sleek, powerful, compact face shaver that helps guys ditch the mess. Cordless and designed for convenience, it easily fits in a bathroom drawer or slips into an overnight gym bag for easy grooming on the go. And it's engineered with a unique dual blade system featuring a standard foil shaver and a long hair trimming blade to handle up to 3 days of beard growth. And what's even better is it comes equipped with skin-safe technology designed to help you reduce nicks and cuts for the perfect clean shave. Plus, it's waterproof, which makes cleanup a breeze. Just give it a rinse and you're done. And with up to 60 minutes of runtime per charge, you won't be scrambling to finish before the battery dies. There's also a little battery indicator light that lets you know when it's time to recharge, which it happened to be this morning. Luckily, I was like, oh, I need to plug this thing in. So it's sitting on my counter charging right now. So I don't have to worry about that tomorrow. Anyways, join the over 12 million men who trust Manscaped and upgrade to the Handyman Rocket Man. You can use my code GRIPLOCK for 15% off the entire order at manscaped.com. 15% off free shipping with code GRIPLOCKed at manscaped.com. Don't miss out. Upgrade your grooming game with Manscaped today.
If I may say something really quick, this is just a public service announcement.
PSA from Kon.
Since I wasn't on last week,
which, I was a little bit self-conscious about, like, what if everybody liked grip block more whenever I was here, and I didn't help whenever we first started, and I went, wee-woo, which I think probably didn't really help my case in that situation. So don't worry, guys, I won't be annoying anymore. But I would just like to apologize to any, fans and people that I may have offended on hole 14 at USDGC final round whenever Anthony Barella missed 25-foot putt and I fist pumped and said, come on. Very rude of me. It's not my fault. It was the institution I was born into. Being a Paul fan, it does that to you. And that toxic Paul fandom came back out of me in that moment. I couldn't control it. My wife told me that it was very rude, so I will not do it anymore.
That's big of you. That was big of
Thank you.
It's kind of tough because we condemned him on the last podcast. So
Shoot.
Like, yeah.
Who, Konner?
Yes, I don't know.
Well, but he apologized now, so I was big of him.
Okay, I just hope I hope it hasn't been too long.
It's never too long.
I didn't have a chance.
I don't know. I'm just hoping.
Well, at the end of the day,
Things have been set.
at the end of the day,
if he has breath in his lungs,
No, it's like things.
It's
were-
not
just
too
to be
long.
clear, that doesn't come from anybody saying anything to me. I haven't read any comments or anything.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
I don't know.
I'm
I
saying
guess
that
what I'm
from my
saying is
own
there
heart.
Were things set in motion, but if you made it here today, that's a good sign.
I have forgiven you, and I don't know what Trevor
I'm
is doing.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't really care.
Yeah.
that was just
No,
on my own
it's-
heart. You know,
yeah.
I felt like I was a little bit
If you-
convicted about it, so
yeah.
I let it out. You
if
know?
you're
Doesn't
apologizing for the praise of other men, your heart's already in the wrong place.
Thank you, Hunt.
Now,
Well, I
Trev,
consider mine shriveled up in black.
I was, because I heard how you're talking to Konner and about Konner, shriveled up in black. Anyways, FPO. Final round. So going into the final round, you had Silva Saarinen in the lead by 2 strokes. Now, one thing to note about this, she had played New London very well. 4 under round 1, 7 under round 2. But going over to Ivy Hill, kind of as expected, she struggled a little bit opening round. 2 over first round out there, but no one really shot that great around her. You had Holland at 2 under, Paige at 3 under, and then you had Evelina at 4 under. And so she still felt pretty safe, but what we knew was the wind was going to be picking up on Sunday, and it was even going to be a little bit chilly out there on Sunday. So we knew kind of going into it, things might get a little interesting. But what I at least didn't expect was how quickly Silva's lead was gone. Just came out the gates. I mean, she was, let's do the math here, 2, 3, 4 over through the first 6 holes. Meanwhile, Paige Pierce was 3 under and Holland was 2 under. So she had lost, 7 and 6 strokes to Holland and Paige in the first 6 holes. So that lead gone. Basically, by the back 9, I mean, she birdied a few. She birdied 7, 8, and 10. But really by the back, like, it was the Holland and Paige battle.
Well, we had made the wind, like we were all talking about, the conditions are going to be so different. Because, like, round 3, it was dead. There was not even a breeze out there. And then, I mean, it was gusting very hard. And so we had kind of said, like, well, this should, the players who struggle more in the wind should have some issues. And if you look at how both MPO and FPO finished out, it makes a lot of sense. You had players who were able to overpower the wind with their power, being the ones who had more success out there.
Yeah. We expected, again, Silva to struggle somewhat at Ivy. We expected Holland to succeed at Ivy. It was just, when she left New London, I said to someone, it's just going to be, can she hold on at Ivy? That was kind of the feeling I had, and I didn't think it did her any favors that Holland Hanley was able to stick around. Because what Silva, in my opinion, kind of needed was Holland to really struggle at New London, which, she started off really slow, but she was able to shoot a 1 under round 1 and then a 1 under round 2, which was enough just to be like, I'm still here. She was 6 strokes back going into the second round, or going into the second course at Ivy, but like I said, it was enough to be like, I'm still around. I can chase her down. And then, final round, it took her no time at all. So then it became the Holland Hanley Paige Pierce battle. And they were kind of exchanging blows back and forth. And it wasn't really until the 11, 12, 13 stretch that Holland really extended and got out in front of Paige Pierce because that's where Paige ended up losing 4 strokes to her in 3 holes, 5 strokes across 4 holes. If you bring in the birdie Holland had on hole 10 to Paige's par. And that was when Holland really started to pull ahead. And then she kind of just shut the door down the stretch because at that point, Paige was sitting, I believe, 2 back going into hole 14, and then Holland birdied 14. Paige did not. Holland birdied 15, so did Paige. Holland birdied 16, Paige did not. And then 17, everyone kind of struggled with. It was very windy. You know, the day before round 3, they were lead card was 50-50. Do we lay up or do we go for it? And everyone just decided we're just going to go OB no matter what we try. So
I still can't decide. And obviously this year they added the hay bales, but I like that hole 17 is frisky and like makes it interesting, but I still don't really think it's a good hole.
Well, I think FPO just needs to be closer.
Well, right, but I'm saying even for the men, like I just don't love that.
It's very tight.
It's almost impossible to get under the limbs unless you try to skip off the water. And if you're trying to skip off the water, there's a lot of randomness. I mean, Goose at one point hit a fountainhead and stopped it dead in its tracks. And then if you go into the limbs, which we see, it's like a toss up. It's like, who knows? So I just don't love how large of a percentage of the shots in that hole do rely on some bit of luck. Like there is a way, but I don't know. It just ends up being kind of like, I think it just could be better. I think it'd be better if they limbed it up more.
I saw a lot of shots where I felt like most of them you knew that's good or that has no chance out of their hands. And like, some of the ones that were like,
I would disagree because anything that was going to skip off the water or
but that's what I'm saying is if you're going low, if you're going low, it was 50-50. But the ones up I didn't see any. I could be wrong, but me watching on the grounds, I didn't see any going to the tree. I saw one hit the square, like the actual trunk of the tree and roll back in the water, but I didn't see any go into the tree and get thrown back in the water. I didn't see that happen.
Because that willow just isn't like
the willow went right through, and the stuff on the left, by the time you hit it, like some players filtered and dropped, but I didn't see any get bodied and thrown unless they actually hit the trunk of the tree, which that like limit up all you want.
At least one hit the right side overhanging branch.
I mean, that's what Calvin went right through. He went through the right side, and so did Goose in the final round. And both of them just went right through. Every shot I saw, I like out of their hands, I'm like, that's no chance that's getting back in. Or I was like, oh, it looks good. And the only ones that I was wrong on were if they skipped off the water, where I was like, that's too low, and then it got a skip in. But that's just, again, if you limb up the trees, that doesn't change anything. So I loved hole 17. I just think FPO needed to move closer because FPO, I didn't think it was tempting enough for players to go for it. And so just kind of like, it felt like most players were just kind of like in this weird in between where they kind of wanted to go for it, they kind of didn't, and it just left this indecision that made them make mistakes. That's the vibe I got walking out there this weekend. So I think there should just be a short tee for FPO, in my opinion.
Is there like a bailout spot?
Yeah, short.
Okay.
Short and left, really like short left. But yeah, it's just pitch up. But then, some players are messing up the pitch up shot.
I mean, to be honest, I think that right there is also what makes it not that great to me is like that just shouldn't be an option. Like, yeah, you're right. The team might just have to move up, but like there should not be an option. If you're gonna make a signature like hole par 3 over a water hole like that, you should not be able to play it boring.
I agree, but that's like, where for FPO, that's dumb. Because in MPO, I don't think I saw anyone go chip. I'm sure they did, but not in the contention.
I think didn't Isaac do it at Worlds last year?
He did at Worlds, right. But I mean, if you're in the lead. It makes more sense.
I don't think it should be an option.
I agree
at all.
It shouldn't. But I think for the MPO, it doesn't have to be. I think for FPO, it just needs to be short, like moved up to where, like, again, it just is more reasonable just to make him go for it.
Yeah.
I think hole 17 rules you throw until you get on the island.
No, that would be a bit much.
I think the island is too unpredictable for that.
Yeah, because even the hay bales behind it, like, help, but it's still such a tight island that I think that if you throw till you make it, I don't like it on that situation. But anyways, regardless, didn't matter. Holland Hanley was able to walk away, pick up her $30,000 check and the win, and it seemed like on coverage they were trying to make a case for Player of the Year as well.
Oh my gosh. Well, it did get less interesting down the stretch, so I respect them like digging up a narrative because like there wasn't much to talk about once she had built her lead. But it was like they had just like emptied the clip of how many stats and like comparisons they could throw out there. Because
I believe they say she led the field in top 10s, podiums, and wins on the Pro Tour.
And wins.
Important note, Throw Pink, not on the Pro Tour. Majors, 0 for Holland Hanley. Those are my two. Those are my two important notes.
The issue is Missy Gannon's case is just too strong. But what I will say is I kind of like that Holland won because it does once again. Like I think Missy had pretty much shut the door on the Player of the Year conversation, but now with Holland getting this win, she will get votes.
Because I think Holland might have just won herself Player of the Year from the Pro Tour. I disagree with it. I don't think she is. But I think she might have just.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, no majors, only one more win. And if you give Missy throw pink, did they tie in wins?
They tie in wins.
So, like, I mean, when you factor that in too, and Missy, like, there's just really there's not a logical argument.
There shouldn't be.
But because people will see her name at the top, they. Well,
the logical argument is I think Holland beats her in average finishing place.
Well,
I think that's the way people will take it is. She had more podiums. She had more top 10s. She won the Pro Tour points. And her average finishing place, I haven't done the math, but just eye test is higher than Missy's.
They had shown
And so when they do that, then that's where the votes are going to come in. Because that's where the votes that came in for Calvin in the past over Isaac. That's where the vote came in for Missy over Kristen last year.
Right, but this is the big thing is for me is that Holland, they showed it before Worlds, her average finishing place was like 2.9.
Yeah, no, she was
unbelievable.
Disgusting.
After Worlds, it was like triple that. If she had done the whole year with like the crazy consistency we saw in the first half, and that was like another chip to put on there was like unmatched consistency, then I think I would be almost okay with like, okay, I mean, this is kind of how Calvin won Player of the Year. Like I can at least see the path. But because she didn't continue that the whole year, and like the back half of her season had some successes, but not nearly like it did in the first, I don't think you can use that argument as strongly. And so, yeah, I think she's going to get votes. Like at this point, I still think that Missy's going to win, but I think Holland's going to get the second most votes, and I think Owen and Silva both will get some votes.
My reason
the votes are going to get tossed around.
My reason that I don't think Missy will win is I have a really bad record historically of how I perceive Player of the Year is never how everyone else perceives it.
Well, but like we knew Calvin was going to win, though, the year that he won. Like,
yeah,
we didn't agree.
But I'm just saying, so far I have sided with I've sided with Isaac Robinson. I have sided with Kristen Lott. Yeah. And I'm now siding with Missy Gannon.
Yeah,
so I think I'm going to go over 3.
But you knew what was going to happen with Calvin. Last year was the only one that actually surprised us. That's what I'm saying. I know
what's about to happen. I'm pretty confident Holland Hanley's about to win.
Okay, but so that's your prediction of what you think is going to happen.
I think they're going to vote for Holland Hanley, and I think they're going to be wrong for the 3rd time.
So,
because I think Missy Gannon deserves it.
But so by you, if your track record like you explain it goes, then you're going to be wrong, and Missy's going to win.
No, because I think Missy deserves the award. Missy Gannon is Player of the Year.
So
that's what makes me say I know Holland Hanley's going to win.
The player who you think deserve it is missing it every year.
Correct.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay. Correct, which is Isaac Robinson, which is Kristen last year, and now is Missy Gannon.
But
and none of them got it.
But in those 2 years, did you get the other player correct? Which would mean you're just 50%.
Well, the other side, yeah.
Gannon Burr. I mean, you thought he deserved it. He got it.
Gannon Burr, Kristen, yeah, like those. But that's really easy. And this year, Gannon Burr deserves it. He's going to get it. So yeah, I'm in the exact same boat that I'm always in. Where like the other side's so obvious. The flip side of the coin when it was Kristen was so obvious. The flip side of the coin last year, Gannon, so obvious. I think flip side of the coin this year, Gannon, so obvious.
I think Missy. I would not bet on it, but I do think that Missy's going to get it.
This is what would not surprise me, genuinely. It would not surprise me if the number 1 vote earner is Holland Hanley and the number 2 is Owen Scoggins and the number 3 is Missy Gannon. It would not surprise me. I'm serious. It wouldn't surprise me.
When are those ballots going out, man?
I don't know. But I'm just saying, it wouldn't surprise me, but I am willing to stand and say Missy Gannon should be Player of the Year. And if you disagree with that, then we perceive it differently. You don't value wins. I do. That's what everyone's trying to do is win.
Well, she has the most wins, Hunter.
Nope. They're tied and one has a major. We technically should have 2 majors. Throw pink. One should have 2 majors.
You should say, to not get yourself snarky comments, you should say you value major wins more.
I value what the players value. Major titles.
Okay, there you go. That's the good statement. And if you just say wins, they're just going to hit you with the they have the same amount of wins.
Yeah, but they'll be wrong.
They do. No, they're not.
A major win is worth more than 1 win on this podcast.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
So Missy Gannon has more wins, worth more than 1. Well, major's worth at least 1.5.
She has more win value.
Correct. There you go. Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. When I'm doing the math in my head, I'm looking at 6 wins versus 5.
Better, more quality wins.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I do the math, Missy has 6. No, Missy has 7, because also I value throw pink. Missy has 7 wins. Holland has 5.
We need a cheat sheet. We need like a chart. If you won this, like it's like a questionnaire. It's like, where did you win? Was Kristen there? And then blah, blah, blah. Like there's like a certain things.
Well,
and
it's
then it's like your win was worth 0.65. We'll make a program.
I think the toughest thing for Missy in my eyes would have been if Silva won this weekend, which was obviously she was in the lead, because then Silva did have the major. No, because Owen can't get to 5.
Doesn't matter.
But Silva.
Oh, you're saying it's like a legit argument? Like a legitimate argument.
Yes. Because Silva then would have had the major and the wins. But the argument where I would have still sided with Missy is Silva's win at Turku had the weakest field.
Also, Throw Pink could be argued to be a second major.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I would have still sided with Missy, but I'm saying that would have been the one that was the toughest in my eyes. Holland winning, I do think that people are going to side with her, and I'm going to disagree with the people. But that's what I do. So it's okay.
That's what he does.
Yeah. Now, MPOs where everything juicy happened.
Ooh.
Yeah, nice and juicy. So round 1 and 2, New London, toughest course in the world. Got to 10 under once. I think it played about the same as the old New London. I'd be curious now that players have played it in competition to hear their thoughts again.
Yeah, practice and round 1, we were very surprised. Like, we expected to get feedback just on how players liked the course, and we got less. Like, most people were just like fine with the course. It was that they just were all saying it's the hardest thing ever. Now,
mainly, we were just terrified that people aren't going to like it as much as old New London.
Well, and what I will say is, it is like, after watching them play, like, I do understand, like, their thing is like it is very tough to score out there, even though I think there's less blow-ups. And so round 1 was pretty quiet, but I do think once you looked at round 2, it was like, okay, they figured it out a bit more. I think it scored much more like the other New London would have scored. So I do think to the pros, like, it kind of becomes a net similar to the other New London.
Yeah.
Not as many big numbers maybe, but score-wise, pretty similar.
Yeah. So we saw Calvin was at 10 under, bogeyed the final hole. So he was at 9. And then the next day you have Luke Taylor was able to get to that 10 under. We had several guys still come in at 9. So anyways, going into Ivy, you had Calvin Heimberg in the lead at 21. You had Ezra Robinson at 20. And then you had Aaron Gossage and Kyle Klein tied at 18. Round 3, Isaac Robinson decides Ivy Hill is a joke.
Ivy.
He shot 12 under with 2 bogeys. He bogeyed the opening hole and he bogeyed hole 16 and still got 12 under. He bet 14 birdies.
With no wind, like, I would have almost guaranteed he was going to win.
Yeah.
Because, like, he does know how to navigate that course extremely well.
So that gave him a 1-stroke lead going into the final round over Calvin Heimberg. Aaron Gossage was at 26 under, 2 back, and then his brother Ezra Robinson was at 24 under, 4 back. So now we kind of start things off. And Aaron Gossage opening up this round looked untouchable. He was 7 under, I believe it was, through the first 11 holes. He had 1 bogey in that stretch and I believe 8 birdies, something like that. The dude was just on fire.
He was
Meanwhile,
just pisering the course to death.
Yeah.
Forehands, backhands, you name it, just pisering it to death.
Well, I had talked to several people, and someone did walk up to me and said, make sure on Grip Block you mention this is a very goose-heavy crowd. Because I will say, did feel like it. It did feel like most people there wanted Aaron to win. Just talking to people out there. But the other thing is, when I was like walking up to hole 2, people kept walking up asking me like, hey, who do you think's going to win? And my answer constantly was, I think Calvin or Gossage is going to. And my logic there was, I thought both of them relied on more overstable plastic. But why I really liked Gossage is I said the wind will neutralize his putt. And he has such a big forehand and backhand that crosswinds affect him a lot less.
That's the big one. I mean, literally, it happened on the very first hole. It only took 1 hole, and Isaac gets pinched right, and the shot would have had to been a backhand turnover. But with the wind, tail right to left, he didn't have a chance in the world. He has to try and cut it up the right side, which he has some success, and then misses the putt. But like, it was that first hole, you're kind of like, yeah, that's a big deal to not be able to throw your turnover because the wind is just
Gossage can just throw those laser beams under the wind.
Well, he also Gossage's forehand is so massive that it's like when he like
straight hyzer.
If Isaac has to go to a forehand, it's a disadvantage for him over his backhand. Like, Aaron obviously sacrifices distance from backhand to forehand, but his forehand still has the power of most people's backhand.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't really matter.
Ezra's in the same boat as Isaac.
So much
backhand just couldn't work.
So Aaron kind of just takes command of the tournament, and honestly, I was walking the whole round, and like everyone was like excited, but we were also kind of just like, man, like a lot of people were like around hole 14. After hole 14, you have to walk up this hill, this massive hill.
It was like, do we just?
And like the general consensus was like, after this hole, I think a lot of people were about to leave.
Yeah,
like it was kind of like, this thing's over, so let's just get through this, walk up the hill, and then we're just gonna keep walking to our cars. And I kind of felt that. Like, I was going to watch it till the end because I, at that point, would walk 13 holes. But it felt like a very thing of, like, this is over. It's starting to rain a little bit. Why am I out here? You know what I mean? And And then Calvin, we do have to address his opening stretch. The dude threw OB/hazard 6 times in the first 12 holes.
So crazy.
So he was 1 under through 12. He was 1 under through 12 holes. And like I said, meanwhile, Aaron Gossage was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 under through 12 holes. So Gossage had gained 6 strokes over Calvin, putting him, 5 strokes in front of him. So going into hole 14, Calvin is 5 strokes behind. Isaac Robinson, I believe, is 3 strokes behind.
Yeah, I think so.
Going into 14 of Aaron Gossage. So yeah, pretty boring going into hole 14. Now, if you watch this weekend, you already know hole 14 is where all the drama happened. Hopefully I can provide some context, some clarity.
I think you can, Hunt.
And also confusion. Because, there's some things I can't answer. But so initially what happens is Aaron Gossage throws his tee shot, left OB. Okay. Pretty far up the fairway. He's in a fine spot where, he could have laid up, could have attacked. It's kind of up to him. Again, has a decent sized lead, but, it's an important green to get to. Tight island green up on top of the hill, rocks in front.
He was very upset about the tee pads.
2020, but, I guess knowing that you just have to get to the island and hit the drop zone is probably why he goes for it there, but, there is a universe where maybe the extra big brain golfer just lays that up after going and just you know what? If I lay up to the corner, this hole gets pretty easy for me to walk out. I mean, he would have been throwing 3, 4. He would have taken a double.
Well,
maybe he's thinking it's not that hard to at least touch inbounds.
That's what I'm saying. I think he just had to try to cross.
Yeah.
Right, just try to cross.
Isaac Robinson on this hole, initial drive, turns over right into the right stuff, kicks, rolls back inbounds. Okay, then Isaac's next shot doesn't get up there, and I believe rolls back inbounds again, if I'm remembering it correctly. Isaac, because to be honest with you, a lot to think about after Isaac's second shot. Don't fully remember what happened, but I'm pretty sure Isaac got lucky twice there. I'm almost positive.
Oh, his
second shot.
His second shot hit the hill
and rolled back inbounds.
And it was he shanked it, so he pulled it right. Because they actually thought he laid up, but if you saw look on his face, he was trying to go for it. He yanked it right. It landed a third of the way up the hill and then spun down there.
So both shots got lucky.
Yeah.
Because he rolled inbounds the first one or hit the tree and dropped inbounds. Because that was one where the spotter was across the fairway and waved his green flag, and I was on the other side of the fairway, and I was like, that is a bold call from across the fairway because that disc is on the line. That thing could easily be out of bounds. But the spotter was just send it, green flag. He was right. It was in bounds. But anyway, so Isaac gets back-to-back lucky. Gossage throws, and this shot, from initial perspective, hits the rock, stays OB. Okay? That shot, him throwing, I was at the very other end next to the island watching him back, and literally so he wasn't the first to throw, so he had time to already be looking at his shot. So not factoring that, though, once it was his turn to throw, probably 2 minutes.
It was very long.
Standing at his lie with the umbrella. I don't really know what he was doing, but then eventually, when I was literally thinking, I'm looking at the wrong player. Someone else is throwing right now. And then I could see everyone else with their bags on. I was like, he's the one supposed to be throwing. And then he finally puts his bag down and then comes over with his disc and then starts his routine that already is borderline 30 seconds, his routine. This is a minute and a half in. So after he throws the shot, someone from the Pro Tour walks over and gives him a time warning. No stroke, just a time warning. I talked to some people in the crowd.
You couldn't pay me $1 billion.
Yeah. Talked to some people in the crowd who were next to him, and obviously he had the exchange with the guy of seriously, dude, you're going to call me on that on the biggest shot of my tournament. Which is a fair point, but it's also the way the current rule is written, it doesn't matter if it's the biggest shot of your tournament or not. You got 30 seconds, and like I said, he had more time than 30 seconds because he wasn't the first one out. He walked up. He probably would have legally had at least a minute and a half of looking at it, but if you take the full time, probably spent 3 to 4 minutes on that shot.
It's the flaw in the rules, right? Where they're trying to micromanage time, but this is why the most effective way to do this is you're timing the group as a whole, you're spotting instances, and you're trying to manage it much more as a whole product rather than each individual, unless you have to, because this is the last card on the course. They're not holding anybody up. Everybody who's there watching this unfold is wants to be there. So there is absolutely no situation where you should, as a rule spotter, have to make that call, because you're right. You can't really fault the guy. I mean, if I was him, I would have just forgot. I would have just acted like I had lost my memory if somebody asked me why I didn't call him, because I would never have called him in that spot. But you don't want to have to be in the position where that is your job, like in that case, because you got to like allow for that moment.
Which he did.
Which he did for 2 minutes.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing is
he went up to him after he threw the shot.
Yeah,
correct.
He did it in the best way he could have.
Yeah,
and
I don't see a better way.
Very justified. Because again, I mean, I've watched a lot of disc golf.
Landed in balance, he probably wouldn't have been as mad.
I've watched a lot of disc golf,
tough.
And I don't think I've ever been in a situation where like my mind is going, someone's got to call this guy. And this was a situation where I was standing back there and I was sitting there watching, going, someone's got to call this guy.
It was dramatic
because I was like, this is taking an eternity.
Yeah.
And especially, I don't know if coverage, if they were cutting to other things where you couldn't tell how long it was taking. But like, I was standing there watching it, and I was like sitting there looking around, just like,
back
what
to
is
the
going
umbrella,
on?
back to the bag, back to the
anyways,
lie.
He throws it, and now here comes the dramatic part, right? Because this was where on the grounds there was a lot of confusion because we all know what we saw. Okay, I was fortunately didn't really know this time how important my spot was going to be, but I was about as close to the rocks as a spectator can get without being inside the ropes. Okay, so I was like at the corner, and I started doubting myself because what I know I saw was his disc square the rock.
So let me ask you this.
Explain where the OB is.
Yeah,
why it's
good
important.
point.
Well, how confident are you from where was your viewing angle?
So my view by itself, if it was just me versus the spotter, I would obviously bow
you
to the
versus
spotter.
the camera, who had a better view?
Me, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
no doubt.
Where I arrived at after watching the slow-mo camera is, does it look like, if I had to say yes or no, would I say it hit the rock? Yeah, like when you first watch it. The only thing that gets weird is that you do see dirt come up.
No, it hit the ground and the rock.
Right.
There's no way for it to hit the ground and not hit the rock in that situation.
But, it would have had to have dug really weird, right? Like
discs are circle.
It would have been a bizarre reaction. But for me, what also sells it, along with the footage, like I said, is pretty condemning, is that people heard it.
That's my...
You can't make that up.
So, yeah. So, if it was, again...
Explain where the
understood.
OB is.
So the rocks are slanted, right? Slanted back. The OB is on the outer base of the rocks that go around. Okay, so the string is on the outside bottom ground of the rocks. I mean, honestly, almost a little off the rock.
It's probably like a half inch.
But it's if a disc hits this rock at all, it has to cross.
That's why it's important. If the disc hits the rock, it's inbound.
There's no way. It's not like the rocks are leaning this way where the bottom.
Yeah.
The rocks are leaning back. So if the disc, it's not even like the rocks are vertical, right? Where the disc could hit the rock and not cross the vertical plane. The rocks are leaned back. So if the disc hits the rock, it crossed inbounds.
And that was
the
their
rope
first
is
mistake.
off the rocks a little bit.
Yeah, that was their first mistake, because obviously in the setup of that course, maybe they wanted it to prevent rollaways. That could be why they put the rocks there. But if you wanted it to defend the inbounds area, you need to put the rope on the other side of the rocks.
Yeah.
They wanted it for rollaways, for sure.
So I guess it just did something they didn't intend for it to do, because it was always going to be a weird situation.
If you remember that hole last year, it was down on the hill more, and that was, everyone went viral for the rollaways.
Yeah.
So the rocks were put there to prevent the rollaways.
It's a good call.
That's why they put the OB on the outside. Again, they weren't thinking of this situation.
Got a Maple Hill, go run them over the top.
But yeah, so from my angle, my perspective, when you watch the shot come in, you're not even thinking how important what I'm watching is.
Yeah.
So as soon as the spotter was 100% confident, like, I doubted myself of like, I didn't see what I thought I saw. That's why, like, if it was me versus the spotter and I was the only one, I would have bowed to the spotter, because the spotter had a better angle than me because he's on top of the rocks.
He was right there.
But like where I'm at is I was basically...
But he probably couldn't see the back base of the rock.
Also, here's another scandalous thing. He couldn't see the back base of the rock, and he had at least one AirPod in.
He was listening to music. Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's listening to music.
He might not have been listening to music, but in any
in.
case, his hearing was hindered in some way.
Yeah.
Does that mean he doesn't hear it hit the rock?
So let me explain the rest of the situation here. So basically I watch Aaron's shot come in, hit the rock, roll, stay OB. Ezra Robinson throws a shot, hits higher on the rock, much higher.
High rocks.
On the rock, rolls, also stays OB. So my facts in my head is I started walking, because if you walk ahead on 15, you have to get up the hill before they tee, or else those people are going to yell at you. So I was like trying to get up the hill as I'm watching, because it's a big hill to walk up.
It's very big.
So I'm kind of walking away, looking back, because I'm curious. In my head, I thought you had to land on the island to advance the island. I hadn't read the caddy book yet. So I just thought you have to land on the island to advance the island. So I thought both of them were going to play from the fairway. Well, then a guy's walking past me, and said something of like, well, this hole's going to be boring now. They both go to the drop zone. I said, why do they go to the drop zone? He said, I played the AM challenge. If you hit the rocks, you hit inbounds. If you hit inbounds, you go to the drop zone. And I was like, oh, so they're both going to go to the drop zone. So then we both are kind of walking away and kind of looking back. And as I'm looking back, I like talked to him and I'm like, the spotter's sending him back down. And the guy's like, what? He hit the rock. I was like, I know. I said, they must be saying neither of them hit inbounds, hitting the rock. That was our initial line of thought. Was he sending both Ezra and Aaron back? Because at that point, we all know what we saw. He hit the rock. So we were like, they're both going back to the fairway. Hitting the rock is not in bounds.
Yeah.
So at this point, I actually walked by Nate Heinold and I said something to him about, oh, they hit the rock and they're sending them back. And Heinold's like, oh, the argument must be that the rocks are vertical, lines here, hitting it, you don't technically cross in bounds. That was where Heinold's line of thought went. And I was like, that makes sense to me.
That's at least an argument.
Yeah, at least like, okay, I can understand that argument. You know, if the rock's vertical plane, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of my first line of thought. But then where all of us minds get blown is that Ezra Robinson walks up to the drop zone. And we're like, okay, no, the spotter was saying he didn't hit the rock. So then at that point, I decided I don't know what I saw.
Big Hunt said time to sleuth.
Because my legit thought was I must be confusing Aaron Gossage's shot with Ezra Robinson's in my head.
Yeah.
And only one of them must have hit the rock. So I knew I had to come on this podcast and talk about this controversy. So I decided I'm going to ask pretty much anyone that walks over and says anything to me, I'm going to ask them, where were you on hole 14? What did you see? So I did that. So I have about 20-some, maybe 25 people from all over the fairway.
It was like you played
and
disc
it was
golf Clue.
100% unanimous. Everyone instant, no doubt. He squared the rock. People across the fairway where I know he hit the rock because I heard the crack of it hitting the rock. So pretty much everyone, like literally, there was not a single person who was like, you know, he might have hit the dirt. Maybe no. On the grounds, it is 100% unanimous. He hit the rock.
The spotter was listening to John Bellion.
So that's the thing. That's where my confidence in my vision being 90% goes up to 100% because I have 20-some other eyewitnesses.
Well, 99.9.
That saw the exact. No, I'm 100% confident he hit the rock. I'm 100%. I asked 25 people. And
there's only one person
I also
that really
saw
knows,
it.
and it's that rock.
I'm saying the only person that disagrees with it is the spotter.
Yeah.
That's the only person out there that disagreed that he didn't hit the rock.
It's true.
Because every single person I talked to saw the same thing. He squared the rock.
And looking at the camera angle, it looked to me like the spotter being on the other side of the rock. Those rocks are somewhat big. I don't think he could have seen the base of the rock on the other side because he was on the other side of the rocks. So to him, it probably did just look like it hit the dirt. But I think it's because he didn't have a good view of the other side of the rocks.
Well, also, Konner made a good point of, because from the camera angle, I think there is an argument of like, man, it could have just hit the dirt and done it. But Konner brought this up of like, well, if it would have just hit the ground and not the rock, it would have continued moving up.
Or at least
it would have skipped us.
There's no way for it to hit the ground that close to the rock and not hit the rock at some point.
Well, also, it rolled immediately.
Right. I was going to say, it could have, if there was no rock there at all and it landed, you could see it like flop over and then roll. But
there's no way it would shoot back. There's no way.
The shoot back, it has to hit something. And again,
that's Isaac's third law.
And again, the spectators heard it. Right?
Yeah.
Like
the
what
rock
did they hear?
around the world.
They didn't just hear dirt. Like you saw dirt kick up. It was raining. It's not like it was loud, hard Virginia clay.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been loud.
No, it was. You heard the rock. So,
was there a rock in the ground in front of the rock?
The rock is buried, so maybe
we have to go investigate the site.
But
guys.
again, like, the thing is,
journalism.
I saw it hit the rock. That's the thing I can't get around. Is like I know I saw it hit the rock. I know, and
dude,
and everyone else with me. Everyone else I talked to saw it hit the rock.
Dude,
and Aaron Gossage saw it hit the rock.
Let's take the cameras and everything with us right now and go to Ivy.
A piece of his disc on that rock, like it would be the greatest thing ever.
Or we can see the slot in the dirt.
That's the thing. I didn't know how controversial it was, or else I would have stayed behind and walked up there and looked at where it hit.
I'm playing Ivy on Saturday morning.
Walk up there.
I'm gonna go up there.
You better.
I'm gonna go up there and do investigative reporting.
There's a plant. Somebody already covered it up.
Oh my gosh!
Somebody put a dirt.
No, it's not gonna rain all week either. So
anyways,
I'm gonna remind myself.
So why this is important when it's all said and done is because Aaron just had the time warning, right? Then you have the spotter who was very the other thing is another eyewitness account, another spectator. I was at this point up the hill talking to people. Another eyewitness account said that when this whole exchange went down, that the spotter started getting snippy with the crowd because apparently the crowd was all like, when they say it, the crowd starts saying, he hit the rock. Like the crowd's like, we saw him hit the rock. He hit the rock. And the spotter's like, I'm right here. He didn't hit the rock. Because the spotters start kind of getting like a little defensive, snippy with the crowd.
I think the spotters have just been told at this point, like if you make
don't back down.
if you make a call, you have to die on it. Because and I get that, like there is.
Well, the tough part,
anytime there's controversial calls, it is like
as
that.
an official, especially if
they're not officials. Spotters are not officials.
They think they are, or
they think
they are.
But I'm saying spotters are just volunteers.
Yeah. Well, clearly they matter a lot more than that because their call is being taken as the law.
This is the deal. Everyone else back in the fairway, I think if the entire card would have walked up and said he hit the rock, we're comfortable. Because I've seen this happen at Idlewild. I've seen spotters say no, it crossed here.
But didn't this happen once and the spotter kind of overruled? Like, didn't we have a situation like this where people were saying otherwise and the spotter's call like won?
Well, that's again what happened. This situation is Jeff Spring walks up.
Yeah.
Jeff Spring is gonna basically overrule them all.
And he went with the spotter.
But because the rest of the card wasn't super confident because they're watching from hundreds of feet back. Mm-hmm. So they're the ones where like it looked like it hit the rock, but who am I to argue with the spotter who's right there? If you're hundreds of feet away, right? And so if I'm on the card, I'm in the same boat where like if I'm 250 feet back, like yeah, I think it hit the rock, but when I walk up there, I'm not going to say Gossage, like he for sure hit the rock, we're going to overrule the spotter, which is what I've seen happen in other Pro Tour events where guys are like,
yeah,
I know the spotter's flag's here. We all agree there's no way that's where that disc crossed. The disc had to have crossed farther up, so we're going to overrule the spotter and you're going up here. That's fine. That can happen because, again, the spotters are volunteers. They're not officials. But when the spotter's 100% confident, Aaron Gossage is like, I'm pretty sure I hit the rock. And then Jeff Spring's there and is saying, look, he was right at it. If he says it didn't hit the rock, it didn't hit the rock.
What I'm thinking
because Jeff Spring was also behind the card. So he was also back there with Gossage and them.
There was a scenario this year that I can't recall exactly which one it was where the spotter was right there. No other pro was near it. The spotter made the correct call, and then the pros all went up there and was like, no, that's not what happened, and they did what they wanted. That was something that happened this year.
That's legal.
Right. But I'm saying, like, that's the problem is, like, sometimes the spotters actually are right, and then they get tossed aside. But that's
what I'm saying, is the spotter...
At the end of the day, I guess if you're 10 feet away from something that happens, you guys probably know what happened. That's probably
and so that's why they sided with the spotter. But I mean, and if I was on the card, I would have sided with the spotter.
Well, where else is he supposed to stand? On that steep hill on the other side of the rocks?
No,
exactly. I mean, it makes sense.
That's what I'm saying. And
listen, I'm a big proponent of AirPod Gate at this point. I think the AirPod's got to be out. You got to hear it hit the rock. Then you don't have a question.
Well, but again, because if it was just me and I didn't have 25 other people, I, at this moment, would have been convinced it didn't hit the rock. If I didn't talk to anyone else.
Also, yeah, if you're just a volunteer, because I would have just glanced at one of the guys standing over on the other side and be like, that hit the rock? Oh, okay. Like,
well, AirPod or no AirPod, like if he's standing there, he had to watch 4 shots come in, and he had to watch most of them go OB, right? So you have Isaac who hit really short and roll. You have Ezra who clacked the top of the rock, clearly hit the rock, and you have Aaron, and none of them feel that consequential in the moment, right? Because you think they all are going to just walk up here and know what happened. So when they get up there and all of a sudden you're like, I don't think you hit the rock.
Yeah, you get put on a spot.
Well, now it's like
you get put on a spot.
Aaron's up there and you're just kind of standing there like, I don't think it hit the rock. And then it's like, well, he's the one who's closest.
Yeah.
So what is it? So they're going to listen to you. So then Jeff Spring's listening to you, and all of a sudden you're like, I just said he didn't hit the rock. Like, he didn't hit the rock.
Yeah, they get thrown into it pretty quick.
Like, what else are you supposed to do?
Exactly.
Be like, oh, it did hit the rock. Okay, we'll say it did hit the rock.
Because then
what else are you supposed to do?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
It's a hard situation
in
to
that
be
situation,
in. He's between a rock and a hard place.
Nice. If you thought it didn't hit the rock, like
title of his book.
That's what I'm saying. I would have done the exact same thing if I was a spotter. If I said it didn't hit the rock, well, I'm going to convince myself it didn't hit the rock because like. It also had happened minutes and minutes ago. Like, it's not like I just watched it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, his only hope was, like, if there was, like, right there before everybody got up, if there was somebody on the other side of the wall, just be like, hey, did I hit the rock? Oh, it did.
Not to mention, he had plenty of time to listen to all of The Prisoner of Azkaban on audiobook while Gossage was getting ready to throw. So he was already knee-deep.
Anyways, whether that he loses 3 strokes there. So now he's tied with Isaac Robinson. Calvin Heimberg is 2 strokes back. So that moment alone did not lose him the tournament. My argument, what it did to him mentally did.
Oh, yeah.
Because the combination of hole 14, the dude was just kind of on cruise control to a certain extent.
The tee shot really started it, but that was...
From then on, like, he was just in a mental pretzel. And so then now we have to start giving our flowers to Calvin Heimberg, though. Because what Calvin Heimberg does is he steps up on the next tee shot, throws a great tee shot, throws a great second shot, and is the only player final day to eagle hole 15. He hits actually, how far did they give it to him? I think it's like 50-some feet, 56.
It was uphill, good putt.
Uphill, 56-footer, bangs that putt. So that gains him only 1 stroke because hole 15, very easy birdie.
Super easy.
But very tough eagle. So Calvin gains 1 there. So that earns him the tee on 16. Right now he is down 1 to the boys. To Isaac and Aaron.
The boys.
Heck yeah.
So he steps up on the tee of 16. The coverage does not do justice to the headwind he was facing.
I think you can see how fast his disc flipped at least and like how much it got bodied and understand it was
because
gusting.
On 16 you have these 2 landing zones and Calvin threw the farthest shot I think I've ever seen during a round of disc golf. I've seen farther ones in distance competitions. But I've never, ever, like this shot went 700 feet.
We also did brush over Calvin on 14, went through an awesome upshot and then missed like a 25-footer to birdie.
Yeah.
Like it could have been worse for Aaron on that hole.
It could have been. But I think at that moment, no one was really thinking about the other player.
It was like a side note.
Aaron also had like a 30-some footer for 6 that he missed on top of all of that.
It was a scary one.
It all started. But anyways,
I'd be afraid to be in an inside-out movie on that guy's head.
So 16, 16. It looked like Calvin turned it over too much. It flexed out beautifully. I mean, going air shot to the second landing zone even is just crazy.
Yeah, it looked burned
A lot of people
over.
go roller, but it flexes out beautifully. 700-plus foot shot. The dude's within 300 of the basket for birdie. Honestly, felt like eagle, but for birdie. And then you have everyone else chips up. So chip up. After 2 shots, they're lying next to Calvin, right? Gossage ends up putting it a little bit outside. Like Calvin puts it like 25-ish. We'll give him 22, somewhere in there. Aaron puts it maybe 3 feet out. Isaac sails his.
Shank.
OB. Deep. Not even close.
It was bad.
So it's like, okay, Isaac's going to be down some, but we're going to have Calvin and Aaron all of a sudden are going to be tied. That's what it feels like in the gallery. And then Aaron steps up first, misses the putt.
Hits the sleeve on the pole from inside of 30.
Very bad putt. Very bad putt. Which that one didn't shock me.
Rolls to
20.
Let's give him 18.
It doesn't surprise you because it's a terrifying putt. Like if you sail past the basket,
it more didn't surprise me because it was Aaron.
Well, it was
that's kind of that's his miss.
Is uphill. Like I mean,
it was Aaron in that moment, and the context of what has happened to him.
Yeah,
I was like, this dude is definitely missing this putt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I also knew Calvin is definitely making this putt. That was like the 2 certainties in my head. What I wasn't certain on was the next putt missed by Aaron, which was his putt for 5? Yeah. And then obviously he ended up taking the 6.
Almost threw his mini to the moon.
Yeah. So
wouldn't have
all of a sudden,
wouldn't have blamed him.
Calvin Heimberg down by 5 takes a 3-stroke lead, 2-stroke lead going into 17.
Yep.
Hunter, how awkward was the air you were breathing in that moment whenever that was all happening?
We had all started moving, obviously, because Aaron's facing away from us, and at this point, everyone's like, this is going to be, now Calvin's going to be up by 1.
You're trying to get in position on 17.
You're trying to get in position on 17.
Yeah, got to.
So we're all kind of just walking towards 17 because, like, props to it. This is a pretty big gallery. I know on coverage it didn't look like it because Ivy holds so many people.
Yeah.
But, like,
it was at least like 150.
What?
The gallery?
What? 150 people?
I thought
it was probably 1,000.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Ivy holds it so well.
Okay, well then coverage didn't look like that at all.
No, at least at least 600 or 700.
Okay,
like it was. That's what I'm saying. It was like
there's so much space.
It was bigger than a normal pro tour. I've been to
Okay.
several pro tours, but there's so much space to spread out. Because like for instance, hole 16 is 1,000 feet. The fairway was lined pretty much, almost.
Yeah.
The whole side. So like 1,000 feet of people standing next to each other. We're all what? 2 feet wide,
and they're all. It might not be one layer.
Well, they were also were already people lining up on 17, because like as soon as the drives through, like pretty much everyone around me was like, we got to get to 17 because they knew in their head Calvin's it's about to be a 3-way tie going to 17. So that's the problem, was like you had a group behind the gallery that was probably 150. But then the majority of us were up in front of everyone, and we were spread out all over the place.
It's probably what it is. I think on coverage is you see one group at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so each time you see a group of people, you're like, yeah, there's a few hundred people out there. But then,
I feel like there's probably closer to 1,000, but I would bet a lot of money there's at least 500.
My quick math says 1,003.
I say being on grounds, I wasn't on the course that day, but being in like the vending area and the parking, there definitely was a ton of cars.
That's what I'm saying. There's more than 150 cars. So assuming all of them had, but I'm very confident saying there was at least 500. Very confident there's at least 500.
I guess that explains why some people online didn't really could grasp it.
No, that's what I'm saying. The Ivy just holds people so well because and that's why it makes it so so easy to view because it's all the elevation and everything. Because you could see the shots from hundreds and hundreds of feet away. So you never had to be close.
Such a fun course to watch on.
Anyways, they go into 17. At this point, it's basically like if Calvin Heimberg puts this on the island, it's over. And he walked up. This is actually the first time I think I've ever seen this in a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. Him and his caddy walked onto the tee to feel the wind and talk it out. So him and Joey Tamale was his caddy. Walked up and they talked for like a few seconds about because it was very windy out there. They talked for a few seconds. They both looked at each other and nodded. And then he walked back, grabbed one disc, stepped up and put it on the island. And there you had it. That's all she wrote.
All I had to do. Yeah, 5 is just not going to create that much separation.
Yeah, because then at that point, Gossage put it on the island, and he could have had it 2 strokes going into 18, but even that, he would have had to. It really would have had to been a birdie bogey, which that could have happened.
2 strokes would have put actual pressure on Calvin, whereas 3, I just don't think there was going to be a lot of pressure.
But he had Gossage put it to circle 2, missed that putt, tapped out. And so then Calvin Heimberg, there was nothing to be done.
Good for Calvin, dude.
Calvin took it down.
Calvin's really good, and so I do.
This was a classic case of as much as Aaron lost it, Calvin won it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Calvin had to be there to flip flop it.
Well, again, he was the only player that eagled hole 15, and he was the only player in the field that birdied hole 16, and he did them both from behind, trying to catch the wind back to back.
Yeah.
Only player in the field that day that did either of those and did them both back to back.
So that was the desperation it took to actually go for it.
I became a Calvin fan from watching this, and the reason being, I wasn't really a hard rooting for Calvin person in the past just because I like personality, and there's not much of it going around with Calvin. He's just not a very expressive person, which is fine. It's just I like to root for people who seem like they have a good personality. Well, it turns out he's just a very respectful, awesome competitor because I loved watching his interview at the end.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he really respectfully worded the fact that he won, but it took a lot of things going his way to get him there. Because that's what he said. He said, I started off really rough, whatever. And he said, I played some really good golf on that last stretch. But things also had to go my way. And those things going my way is also what got me here. And then Perkins asked him about how, he was the only one to eagle and birdie certain holes. And he said, well, I'm just a person that I want to either win it or lose it on my own. I don't want anything that another player does to be what causes my outcome. So in order to take control, I decided I was just going to go for it on those holes, and that would either make me win it or make me lose it, and I thankfully just got all of them. And I think that was a really respectful way to word all of that. Made me a big Calvin fan. I love Calvin now.
Well,
me and Robbie C.
The brutal part for Aaron, we had to look at a few things here. First, Aaron Gossage started at 3 under par. So he started 4 strokes back of Calvin Heimberg, 5 strokes back of Gannon Burr. So he was able to put himself in contention, obviously, with where his stroke head start was. But then these last few holes cost him $18,000. That's the difference here. Was because
that's crazy.
30 to 15 was the drop off, but then he tied for second, meaning really he ends up at 12 and a half. So I guess it's 17 and some change, 17,500 or something. But basically,
and that's where Uncle Sam gets his share.
Almost $18,000 is what this cost him. Because that's the thing about this tournament is, obviously the stroke head start. Some people love it, some people hate it. It is what it is. I freaking love it because obviously we also still got a phenomenal tournament out of this with a jumbled up leaderboard as predicted, even with the stroke head start. But you have guys like Ezra Robinson on hole 18 has a putt for birdie out of the tournament, right? He's down at this point by 8 or 6, somewhere in there. But that putt was the difference between if he makes the putt, he's in solo 4th. If he misses the putt, he's tied for 4th. That's a few $1,000. I
just had a great idea.
And he misses it, punches the ground's ticked. And in the moment, I was so focused on Calvin Aaron, I was all I knew was that putt just lost him for sure.
Feel free, DGN, to steal this idea for next year's Tour Championship. When you put the leaderboard up or like a player, like they're getting ready to throw their shot and you see him, okay, tied first or whatever. Put the current dollar amount they are sitting at on the leaderboard.
So that you know how much that putt is.
Imagine somebody misses a putt and it goes Antique Roadshow style, goes doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and you see their dollar amount
that would be
drop.
Sick. That would be sick.
Because then you
feel what the players are
like,
feeling too.
Oh, that was $3,000 on 18. You just like that. That would be epic.
You're right. That's a great idea.
Well,
because what can we see as the payout
That's
posted?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so they don't have the payout posted. Okay, I have the projected payout though. Because so solo fourth is 7,500. Tied for fourth would add 75. It's basically 12,000.
I will say though,
so he lost 1,500.
I'll say as much as that idea I just threw out would be fun, it is really only relevant for the
top
first
few.
First 4 spots.
Yeah.
Like if you could literally lose like 20 grand dropping from first to fourth, and then from dropping from 5th to 13th you'd lose like 2,500.
I think you just show it final round. Like
first
that's
to third is 20 grand difference.
God.
Yeah, the third.
Yeah.
So like if you finish, if
and
you're
it's
on,
so easy to drop
all the
third.
money is in those top 4 spots.
Like Silva Saarinen, for instance, she dropped from first to third in that final round. She lost $20,000 from her starting position to her final position.
If you fall out of the top 4, and especially if you were in a second and third and fall out of it, like that's the worst thing to happen to you this turn. Because if you're just clumped in there and you're like, oh, I was in 9th and I fell to 13th or 12th and I lost a few $100, you do not like whoop-de-doo.
Well, because Paul Kranz, Foundation fan, love you, Paul. Sorry I have to use you.
But like, how much did Kranz lose?
That's what I'm about to say. He shot 10 over final round. He dropped 14 spots, so that puts him in 12th.
Yeah.
So he dropped from 12th, which is 3,700, to 26th, which is 2,350. So he lost $1,400.
Yeah, he
lost the same.
But that was an ultra collapse.
Yeah, and that's the same as Ezra Robinson from one putt.
Right.
But that's what the Tour Championship is like it's so top. It's like not so top heavy, but it's like everyone gets paid. It's just like if you get in the top 4, really if just the top 3, you get paid really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish
it's electric.
I mean, I get it's like I said, this tournament for a lot of these spots is just a handout. Like it's like here's your congratulations bonus, but it would be more fun if that rippled down, went a little further. Just went a little.
They should just have they should have the same purse, but you're not guaranteed money. So it's just the top 40%.
You think everybody would show up?
Yeah, I think
Definitely, so. Yeah. I feel like at a 4-round tournament because
you have 4 rounds, and if you're in last place, if like only the top, what would it be? Top 18 would make cash basically. Yeah. I mean, last cash would probably be like $6,000.
Yeah.
Like that's literally a win.
The sad thing about this Goose situation is like not only is he like people are forgetting he's still searching for his first win, and like he is now like we saw him.
Well, strokes wise, he won by 1 here.
Yeah, we saw him lose Worlds to Paul. Obviously, famously, he's lost a couple other pro tours in like dramatic fashion, but then this was another one. This was a gut wrenching one. He's been close many a times.
Yeah. Oh, this one I think
gotta make clutch putts.
This one might hurt him the most when he thinks back on it, because to him it's gonna feel like it was out of his hands because of hole 14. But it's like if he could have just held it together, made a putt on 14 and made a putt on 16, like it was just very much still his.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just like he just had to hold it together. But
so hard not to spiral there.
There's so many rounds where you lose 1 stroke or you're back by your line, 1 stroke or a couple strokes, and you're like, this is over. Like this is over. But from now on, whenever I'm in an important round, I'm just gonna think about Calvin. I'm gonna be like, he was so far back and he just stayed steady, and look where he is now.
Signature win for Calvin.
Because if I can be on hole 2 and then I bogey hole 2, I'm like, well, this is done. No point in me being out here anymore.
Calvin also just wrapped up a nice season as well. I'm sure his earnings. Where will that put him earnings wise with another 30K? Because he obviously had a major, so that pays well.
Put him over 100. I don't know if.
Heck yeah.
Big money Calvin. That's why they call him that.
The USDGC is already in there. Right. So it'll put him, 30K puts him at $100,837.
We should call him the Cash Cal.
How much did he make last year? Cash Cow. I like that.
Thank you. Last year, 2024, he made $100,415. It's about
Cash
the same.
Cow.
It's Cash Cow.
Because last year he made 16 grand at USDGC. He only made 9 this year. So.
What was he, runner up?
Yeah, he was second last year. And this year he was 4th.
Playing good at that tournament pays well.
Yeah.
That is really what it comes down to. You look at these players' earnings. It's like, did you win a major or a big one, maybe a plus? And then, like, did you finish high up at, like, Worlds and USDC?
Well, because what's impressive with Calvin is he's going to hit 100K with 2 Pro Tour wins. Well, really, one Pro Tour win, one major. Tour. That's it.
Yeah.
Because he won an 8. His only other win this year was an 8 tier, which Cash is the same as a normal Pro Tour.
What was his Pro Tour again? Remind me.
They just won.
Oh yeah, this is it. He didn't have one before that.
No.
Oh, okay. My brain yesterday, I was trying to think back, and I thought he had one other than the major. Okay. No. Wow.
European Disc Golf Fest. So he got over 6 figures with a 2-win season.
That is insane.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he played very well.
I'd like to find somebody else that had a 2-win season. Is there another player with 2 wins this year that just, like, obviously wouldn't have been? I mean,
Paul McBeth.
But he was consistent this year, so he probably did make good
Paul's
money.
at $75K this year. 2 wins. No major wins, though. But how much is Paul about to get here? 6. He's at 75. He came in 6th, another 4,500. So like he'll be basically 80K with 2 wins.
I mean, yeah, it's quite a bit less. Quite a bit less with 2 wins.
Ezra Robinson had 2 wins.
He could be a good example.
43,000.
Yeah, there you go. 2-win seasons. One of them is gonna be over $100,000. 43K for Ezra. Like that just shows Calvin's consistency. That's the example I was looking for. That's crazy.
Where did Gannon end up cash-wise?
That's why it's so hard to guess player earnings because like it's not. It just can be so sporadic.
How you played and where you did it.
Oh, you have this much more because you just happened to take like 30 USDGC and a 4th at Worlds, like
and win a major, $16,000 for that major. Yeah, because Gannon this weekend he's at 154K this year. And so he'll add a few thousand. He'll probably get to like.
And he hit 200K last year.
I think he hit 200 last year. That's 211 last year. But he won USDGC. He got 65,000 in the last 2 weeks of last season.
The fact that he didn't win Worlds too, like if he would have like, and he wasn't even like crazy high up at Worlds, he could have made way more.
Worlds he came in 7th last year.
Yeah.
He could have hit like 250 last year. Yeah. But anyways, okay. That's the Pro Tour Championship. I'm sorry we parked on it for so long, but obviously it was in our backyard.
It was our last disc golf tournament.
It was in our backyard, and there was drama. I had to give you the context of being there. So
we don't always get like a moment. It is funny. I feel like this year.
Well, that moment, like we would have just been looking from coverage and being like, I think he hit the rock. But like obviously being on the grounds gives you so much more context.
He's got the context.
25-person survey.
That's text.
All right, it's time for the fan favorite segment, Trevor's Trivia, right after these messages.
Hope you enjoyed those messages, guys. Okay. We're going to play another.
I never hear the messages. I don't ever understand why Hunter says that.
You don't listen on audio then, baby.
Gaslighting you.
No, I listen on the Heiser Club where I get ad-free grip locked.
Shout out.
We're going to be playing.
Patreon.com/.
We're playing another game of Bull today.
Bull honky.
If you've never seen us play this game, basically, I will go back. Well, not back and forth. I will basically say a prompt. Like, for example, this is not one of them. Like, Pro Tour winners in the past 5 years. It's not one of the prompts. These ones are going to be all about discs in particular.
You know I love that, Big Trev.
And
you know I love the Frisbees.
Hunter would say, I can name 3. And then Connor would say, I can name 4.
Not one of
these. And then when somebody thinks that's a little bit too much, they would say bull. And that person has to try and prove it.
Fart.
We're going to go, this one, we are going to go on a 20-second timer for each prompt.
My heart's
racing. You're going to have 20 seconds.
So it's how many you can name in 20 seconds.
How many can you name?
Is what you're saying.
If you name one that is incorrect, like we'll vet that, but it won't it doesn't end.
Doesn't end it.
It doesn't necessarily end it.
What are you laughing about?
I just this game. It's one of those ones where you're like, I can name 5. And you're like, wait, I can't even pronounce any Yikun discs. I can't name 5.
The first prompt is going to be discs that were PDGA approved in the year 2025. So, Connor. I mean, you can just start with 1. Hunter.
I'm not even sure.
Do I need to know the exact name, or can I be like, it's this disc?
You need to know.
Need to know the name it was approved under.
Yeah. Well. What do you mean by like a name that like a prototype? You're saying?
Yeah. There's prototypes that are approved under like code names, but like if I know the disc, does that count or no?
Yeah, I think I'd give that to you. I'd give it to either of you.
Then I think I can go 5.
Okay, my next one was going to be 3. So I can't confidently name 6. So I don't think that's bull, but I have no choice.
Do you have a better chance? Well, you have a choice. You could just go for it.
I don't think I can think of that many.
Do you think you have a better chance than him ripping all 5? It's 20 seconds. It's not a lot of time, but 5 isn't. I don't know. I haven't really thought of these through. I just kind of throw them out there.
The more time I take right now, the more time he has to think of 5.
It's true.
I'll hit him with it. I'll say, there's no way I can say 6.
All right, well, you better call him now then.
I'm going to say 6. I think I might actually have it. I think I can think of 6.
Oh, now he's getting confident. He's trying to hold you up.
I think
Konner,
I
shut up
can.
and think.
Okay.
Shut up and think.
I'll go 7.
Oh.
Okay, I'll call bull. Now,
Okay,
start the timer.
go.
R44 by Gateway, the Ricky Wysocki fairway driver, the Ricky Wysocki pig mold, the Boca Simon line, the Simon line retooled time lapse, and I believe it's the Aspect by Simon line. I'll just stay there, 6.
Okay.
Is it okay to say the new Ricky
That's
mold?
That's what I was approving. That's what I was approving.
I said I would give that to
because I didn't know
either.
they approved it under like RW blah blah blah. I don't know that.
What was the Gateway
This is
one
what
you
I
said?
was ready for.
R44.
Okay, we're
I
gonna.
was
believe that's what
ready
it's approved
for
under. I can
the
express it farther if I
range.
need to, but I think you know what disc it is.
Yeah, but I need to make sure it's actually. There's nothing approved under R44.
Well, just check Gateway.
I will.
I was told it was approved under R44.
Well, if it better.
If I got false
it better
information, then you know.
I was ready for the range, the turbulence, the tempo, the Fox.
Seems like you had a pretty good grasp on this,
But
Con.
that's all
Well,
I had.
But with MVP, what's sneaky is they approve way before they release. So like the range
Could
might have been approved in
last-
24.
Yeah.
They have only approved 4 molds this year, Gateway, and all of them have official names.
But do you know if one of them's the disc?
None of these are. Well, I don't think so. I mean, you can look, but I don't think.
I mean, that could sneak. Either of those two could be it.
I can look. And
I mean,
see.
you know what disc I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. Well, one of them is not the same type of mold. Neither of them are.
So it's not approved yet. So I lose.
Hunter loses.
I
that
should have
one.
just went for another one.
Yeah, you had a lot of time
Yeah.
left. That you did get burnt there because I also would have expected that to be on the list, and
I was told from Gateway it was approved.
you must just not have
So
happened
like
yet.
that's
I think
on
you
me
got
for not
off.
fact checking.
I think you got gatewayed.
I think I did.
What was the last?
I think
the
you found the
Aspect?
way.
Yeah, the Aspect I don't know. I think that's the next Simon line disc.
Also, that's under Gateway. Hold on.
Is that it?
No. That one is approved. Okay. All right. 1-0 to Con. Okay. Next prompt. Trilogy plastic blends. Wait, let me rephrase that. House of Discs plastic blends. Anything under the House of Discs.
It's
So it's
me
Hunter's
first.
Yeah.
first.
10.
Bull.
Okay.
Go for it.
Go.
C line, D line, P line, P line flex 2, D line flex 2, Lucid, Opto, VIP, Tournament, Fluid,
Okay.
Fusion in case I need Biofusion.
Good.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
store
No,
house.
I don't need to fact check those. I know those are all correct.
Okay, well, I didn't know
Yeah.
if the flex 2s. I was trying to store house after I just got burned for not
those-
doing that, and I
those
was
are
only
all
10
correct.
seconds.
That
in.
was
Those are all
there was one.
I think I could've got to
completely
18.
forgot about Discmania.
Yeah.
Once he said
Right.
House of Disc, because then it also
Because
brings in
all I thought
Castaplast,
about was Trilogy, and I was
K1,
like,
K2, K3, K4. I think I could have went to 20.
yeah, I forget House of Disc is so many companies because I immediately just thought Trilogy, and I'm like, I forget the Trilogy
Yeah.
plastics.
I had 4 prompts. We'll do one more because I have one more that I really like, and then that way it'll break the tie.
Okay.
All right, our last prompt was going to be discs named after real animals. They could be extinct, but they had to at one point be real animals. That could get controversial. So animals that at some point walked the earth, so you can't do
It's my
anything
turn.
fictional.
I'll go 5.
So like T-Bird does not count. I guess that's why I wrote it that way.
6.
7.
Eight.
I kind of want to just go for it because I haven't listed
Yeah.
any this time, so I'm just gonna go 9 just because I
I'll go
want to.
bull.
Go.
Okay, all right. The fox, the rock is named after that bird. A birdie,
I don't think that's real.
whale.
I don't think a birdie's real either.
Keep going.
Birdie's a bird.
Keep going.
The oh my gosh. We have the shark.
Time's up.
Oh,
I don't think the rock
Yeah,
or the
rock,
birdie.
the rock, the logo is a bird, but I don't think it's named after a bird.
I think that's still a kind of bird. I'm pretty sure.
Also, a birdie's not a kind of bird.
Yeah, birdie.
But
is
he said
named
named after a real animal, and a
Birdie.
birdie is like
It's named after like you make a birdie.
Is it the same way that you spell it though?
I mean, you could have.
Well, but do you call it a birdie?
Here's the good news.
I don't see a bird fly and go birdie.
We could have had an argument about it, and like you could maybe argue.
If it was called a doggy, would you say that counts as being called a dog?
We could have argued it, but obviously it doesn't matter.
No,
I think
the rockbird is not real. It's a mythical creature from Middle Eastern folklore. But it was a bird.
It was a bird.
So at least you were halfway there. Okay. There you go.
Got the whale though. Absolutely nailed the whale
and the shark.
And the shark. Yeah, I got
and
my
fox.
My
you had to
fox.
Stay, you had to stay mid ranges because it was like shark, mako, coyote, foxbat, wombat,
capybara.
There's a lot of
capybara. Yeah,
Nineveh definitely has a ton. Okay, good game, guys.
But is there actually? You said 8. I mean, surely there is 8, but like, are there 8 low-hanging fruit ones?
Well, if I went, shark, mako, wombat, fox, foxbat.
Is foxbat real?
I don't. That popped in my head.
Coyote, gator,
leopard,
cheetah,
gator,
gazelle,
alligator,
just kidding, and whale. Like, there's 10 on this table there. But I mean, on the spot, it's our brain's turning to mush.
I had none in my head before I said it.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I was just gonna go for it.
I had capybara.
I hadn't listed any yet, so I was just excited to try.
I had capybara, leopard, cheetah, and I said 5. And I was like, Hunter, where are the
Honestly,
other 2?
the real strat, because I said I wasn't gonna penalize you for misses, so you should have just sprayed every animal you.
Well, that's what I should have done the first
bulldog
one with the.
There's a disc.
Bulldog, and then what's the? There's a frog one, isn't there? Bullfrog. Yeah.
Might be both, yeah.
Actually, there might not be a bulldog. I might just be thinking
there
rat.
is. It was a
Toro.
a rat disc. Or a gateway disc.
Spanish for bull.
There we go.
Oh, the rat. Yeah.
Toro, not rat and Trev.
No, there is the rat.
I said the rat, and then I said Toro, and then you said, oh yeah, the rat.
El rat.
El rat.
Spanish for bull.
Okay. MVP is coping here, and not MVP. The MVP fan base. First off, I do want to claim, or I do want to make one thing. MVP, I think that if I remember correctly, I think that the gyroscopic effects are claims from the fan base, not from the company themselves, if I remember correctly.
You're going to want to go to MVP's website because I think they have an entire page about their gyroscopic effects.
But I'm saying what it does to a disc.
Yeah.
I think that's not actually from them.
I think you're going to want to go to their web technologies.
Gyro. Because we read this before because of the science of gyro.
Let's read it again.
Okay, angular momentum also known as gyroscopic effect is the third aspect of disc flight. The result of disc rotation. Improve all aspects of disc flight. Include angular momentum of disc in flight.
No, that's what you're looking for.
That's what I'm looking for?
Right there.
Gyro real technology is designed that produces around 2-step molding process that allows outer ring to be made with a heavier material. The process of transferring mass away from the axis of rotation increases the disc moment of inertia at parabolic proportions.
So they're not.
What I'm saying is they don't claim that makes a disc go farther. That's where
they just say it has more.
They're saying it aids the gyroscopic effect,
which I think it basically helps maintain the rotations, which has then led to this disc go farther.
Yeah, that's not really the issue. The issue is
But so, anyways, basically what happened is Discmania, in effort to promote their Q line, which is their non-gyro, but they shift more weight to the rim. They took a bunch of discs and cut them open. They, on their graphic, have it anonymously. Someone on the fan page put like, hey, this one's the time lapse. They cut open a bunch of discs and cut the flight plate off and then the rim off, and basically showed this is the weight dispersion between the rim and the flight plate. So the Q line wins it.
Oh, shoot.
Because the Q line comes in at 77% of the rim is in the rim.
Wow.
But these discs that are on this page are the Discmania DD3, I believe a Force, a Destroyer, and a Time Lapse, if I remember correctly. And the Time Lapse is actually the lowest weight in the rim distribution. So the flight plate makes up 26.9% of the weight.
Wow.
The stock DD3 is 25.5. I don't know which A or B. I don't remember which one's which, but either the Force or the Destroyer is 25.3 in the rim, and the other's 25.1. So they're effectively the same.
Let me look at
But all of them are below 26.9% being in the flight plate. So this was posted because essentially it was posted to the MVP fan page because they're like, guys, the weight in our rim is actually less dispersion than your normal stock disc. And it's significantly less, 4% less than the Q line. of Discmania.
So one thing to note is obviously some people had complaints with their method, right? Like they're just using an X-Acto knife basically, or a box cutter.
They did a pretty good job.
That's like, well, you could make the argument. I just wanted to point out, so we're talking about a 3% difference. A 3% difference on a 175 gram disc is 5.25 grams. So like, it's pretty significant in the scope of a. Yeah. So like, if you were to leave on a little, because like it'd be one thing if it was like, okay, if you left on 2 flecks of plastic, you change by 1.5%. It's not quite that dramatic at all. So just putting that out there.
So the funny part here is the comments, because
so funny.
For all of history with MVP, what we've heard is like there's more weight in the rim. It increases the gyroscopic. It changes how the flight happens, and it goes farther.
That because they do
overmold. That's the part. It changes the flight, makes it fade farther forward, makes it go farther. That part alone, that's not coming from MVP. No. The weight to the outside, gyroscopic, that comes from MVP. So I think that's an important delineation.
Which, to be fair, if you read their statement, all they say is they move more weight to the rim compared to what's in the flight plate, which they do. They never said they do more than any other company.
There's another science thing that I think that you might have to go deeper that people are claiming. This is where things are getting like, okay, how sciencey do we get science with it? I would imagine MVP is going to respond with a counter test, because I feel like that's what I would do.
I don't know that they can.
If I had proof. Well, because I think they can prove one specific part. We'll get to that in a second.
If it's true.
But in the comments, all of a sudden you have all of these gyronauts, the MVP fanboys, basically being like, starting to throw it all out the window. Being like, it was never about the weight being in the rim. I just love the feel of the plastic. It was never about that it flew different.
Really funny.
I'm like, guys, look, I understand this kind of is like a shocking thing to your core belief system of disc golf, but like, you're not fooling anyone. It was always about the flight. Like,
there's a reason why we call you the gyronaut.
Okay, I'll say this.
You can't say it was never.
If you picked up MVP post James Conrad and them being a popular brand,
sure,
they have amazing discs, great branding, and they've got Simon Lizotte. So I can, but anybody before that, you're lying.
Yeah, because
you're lying.
You were the MA3 guy that was basically in a multi-level marketing scheme, walking up here like, guys, dude, I gained 50 feet of distance putting this MV in my bag. And everyone's like, but is it the mold or is it it's gyro, bro? This stuff goes so much farther. Those are the people that I'm like, listen, you can't get away from this one, okay? I'm sorry.
You can't get away with this.
But that's what, I mean, a lot of people are actually saying, like, well, maybe it's just because it's the time lapse. And when they're trying to make a Simon disc
that's what I was thinking. Simon might just not be a gyro guy.
They're saying, oh, if it's the old time lapse, it's actually not molded correctly. That's why they retooled it. So, like, there's a lot of, like, coping mechanism going on.
Well, it is just one disc, and it is a disc made for somebody who doesn't come from a gyro history.
Yeah, in fairness.
So he just wants a regular disc.
If you were Discmania. Now, picking the time lapse is like, there is something to be said of like, okay, it's just kind of like one of their most popular flagship things, so you go after that one. But also like, I would have cut open 20 discs from MVP. I'd have cut open every MVP disc until I found the one that proved my point. Now, I'll also say this: they also picked a disc that would be
it is the
comparable in size and shape to the DGPT.
Well, it's not a bad pick.
I was gonna say, if you're Discmania, you're gonna pick the disc that Simon recreated.
Yeah,
it's also a spite play.
Good point.
Like,
it's also a spite play.
You're gonna pick.
But if
that
the
disc.
numbers didn't show you what you wanted, I'd have found another one and another one and another one.
Now the argument here is, this is made by several different people, but I'll read Thomas here in the comment section. I think puts it clearest. He said, total weight is not the useful metric to determine gyroscopic effect. Weight distribution is. With MVP, the distribution is less about flight plate versus rim and more about distribution to the outer portion of the rim. So this test ignores that distribution with the flight plate itself and only looking at total weight. So if you look at their...
Cut that rim in half.
If you look at their site, what they claim is halfway into the rim where the overmold is. This is what Gyro claims, is the outer half of the rim is the ultra-dense chemically bonded blend.
Which you can see that in the disc.
Yeah, the core, which starts halfway into the rim, is no weight added. So their claim is never the rim's heavier than the flight plate.
Yeah.
Their claim is the outer part of the rim is heavier than the inner part of the rim, which shifts the weight to the outside.
That's what I was thinking, because that black part doesn't take up the entire rim.
So, gyronauts, don't worry. This is funny. I will say. It's funny to read the comments. It's funny to read watch people panic over it. But it's not disproven yet.
Yeah, we're just going to enjoy the panic, and then like
it's good time.
If the science checks out, the ball's in their court, because if the science checks out, which I think there's a good chance it does, just there should be a response this
That's
week.
What I'm saying.
We should see a response this week.
All
True.
MVP
but if
has
there's
to
not,
do.
we're just going to take our own
MVP has to
liberties.
do is cut the overmold off a disc.
Yeah.
Cut the rim. And then do the same on like any other disc. Do the same disc they did. Do the DD3, the Destroyer, the Force, whatever, and cut the rim in half and just weigh them and be like, look, inside of the rim, ours has like significantly less weight than the outside of the rim.
Yeah.
Point proven. There you go.
I do also think that one of the biggest arguments is I would assume that I think the time lapse was not created with gyroscopic technology in mind.
Well,
I think they were trying to make a disc that did what Simon wanted to do, and I think that didn't involve trying to make a super gyroscopic disc.
Maybe that could be true. People were also saying in the comments, well, they use Neutron, which is one of the least gyroscopic plastics. Because I've always heard fission is the most. Mm-hmm. I've always heard that because they have the micro bobble in the core, yada, yada, yada. So, but again, there's a lot of coping. So I don't know.
Very true. It all makes sense. Again, all good points.
Again, I do think that it didn't quite... It proved what Q-Line was hoping to prove, which is Q-Line's doing something different. They have a thinner flight plate, thicker rim. How they got their weight distribution is the flight plate has less than the rim, the entire rim.
Like I said,
so Q-Line's different than Gyro because Gyro's plan is...
I'm interested.
We put the weight to the outer edge of the rim, which is different than the entire rim.
Which technically would create more gyroscopic.
Correctness. So until that point's proven wrong, MVP, hold on to your bag. Don't throw them out the window. Don't start saying like, well, I just like the Envy because it looks so cool. You can still like the Gyro. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. You don't have to throw it all out. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater yet. Until someone cuts the Gyro off of a disc.
Then get that baby out of here.
Don't throw the baby out the bathwater?
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's a very interesting phrase, yeah.
Well, because they used to not have drains.
Yeah.
So they'd get rid of the bathwater, and it was like, hey, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
It's kind of like a funny thing, right? Like, don't scoop them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah. Not like, don't let them go down the drain. So, anyways, yeah, we'll keep you updated because I'm
used to have really big drains.
That was phrases with the boys.
Final update here: Manufacturers Cup 2025 results. We haven't updated in a while because it went exactly how you expected. Discraft absolutely dominated. They won the 2025 Manufacturers Cup with 1,115 points.
Congratulations.
Discmania came in second at 806 points. Edwin pointed out here, Latitude 64 signing of Isaac paid off. They moved up 6 points from last year, from 10th in 2024 to 4th.
6 standing points.
6 places.
Total.
No. Sorry. From 10th in 2024 to 4th this year, because Isaac played pretty solid, but they do lose Kristen next year. Dynamics loss of Ricky was felt. They dropped 5 spots to 9th, below Open Bag, which Open Bag was led, I believe, by Annika and Sten, if I'm not mistaken.
She's Open Bag?
Yeah, she's with, she has a custom stamp disc with Castaplast, I believe, but she's not with Castaplast. She's with a retailer in Norway called like We Are Disc Golf or something. That's like her main sponsor. Holland led all FPO players with 254 points with her teammate Missy in 3rd. Even with the shortened season, Kristen finished 4th, and Discmania's top 2 FPO players finished in 6th and 7th, with only top 10 Open Bag player was Annika and Sten. And obviously Gannon led all MPO players in total points, almost doubling AB in second because Gannon had 297. AB was in second at 159. But Discraft had second, third, fourth with AB, Paul, Ricky, and they had 10th with Adam Hammis.
Bada bang.
Yeah, Discraft just dominated.
They have all the players.
That
should be their slogan. We have all the players. Discraft.
All right.
They're all here.
Next week is the Grippies, the awards show that everyone waits for all season long. We're super excited to be bringing that back next week.
My favorite part is dressing up. Actually, last year I think I didn't because of the fact that it just led to cyberbullying.
Oh,
yeah, last year
Trev.
I think you did choose not to dress up, and you said because you didn't want to get made fun of.
Oh.
So then me and Hunter proceeded to make fun of you for that take.
Yeah, it was really a lose-lose.
Yeah.
So what are we doing next week? We dressing up or no?
Of course we're dressing up, Hunter.
Yeah, we
Let
should.
Trevor.
I agree, but if I stand with Trevor. If Trevor doesn't want to do it, we're not doing it.
I should probably verify that take before I just spew it out. Like I might not have. We may have all dressed up.
If Trevor doesn't want to dress up, we don't dress up.
What? It's the Grippies,
Okay.
hon.
If you want to dress up, you can. I am dressed.
I have respect for the organization. I'm gonna dress up.
I respect it as well,
No,
and I respect Trevor more than the organization.
Tag on.
We definitely are dressing up.
We're dressing up.
We're dressing up.
Yeah.
Black tie event. I also
I don't
think it's
think I
our
have a
social
black
media
tie.
manager's first day at work, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Everyone else is
that'd be
dressed
fun.
up.
I didn't even think about that.
Silas, you gotta dress up too,
Well,
man.
Silas is a part of Grip Lock next week.
He's gonna. Silas is officially part of Grip Locked.
Yeah, next week. So
he's always been a part.
Well, he's always been a part.
Well,
Silas
yeah,
Selects.
of course.
But like now he's
course.
he's got to dress up for the Grippies next week.
Now his voice will be a part of it.
Yeah, that is gonna be funny.
Gotta
We're
dress
just
up, son.
unironically gonna prank our.
What if this is just us
new
pranking
hire.
Silas and none of us dress up except for him? And we're like, "Hi, I got you, Grip Lock Haze."
There you go.
We're not gonna do
We're
that.
not
though.
gonna do that. We
I
do
promise.
dress
We're
up.
gonna dress up.
But also
Trevor
we
might
just
not, unless Trevor gets
bring our
scared.
clothes.
Yeah,
All right, Silas Select time.
I'm on both sides of the fence.
Whatever you say goes, Trev.
I just won't say anything.
I'm gonna dress up.
Well, just understand if
Hunter.
if you don't say anything, just understand if you don't say anything, then what's gonna happen is we're gonna dress up and then we're gonna make fun of you because you don't dress up.
light's falling on Hunter.
That blew my eardrums out, but it was really funny. Because I was
C-stand does not
I
like
looked
this
at
light.
you first. I was like, what could possibly be important enough to yell that loud? And then I almost saw Hunter get killed by a light. Yeah,
Silas
we really
Selects,
ought
it's in the
to
back.
get some wider stands for those, huh?
Yeah, man.
It's kind of
That's- we
fun.
already
though.
have lights
Softbox
over
is
there.
way too
Yeah.
way too
Oh my
big for
gosh,
that
guys,
stand.
we're gonna have a billion lights over there.
Yeah.
Well, we're not gonna need these ones. over there.
We're gonna use them.
We're gonna use them on Connor's desk.
Yeah.
What's in this bag, guys?
Probably a sandwich.
I think a sandwich,
Sandwich
is
is
not
your
in
guess,
there.
Trev? A sandwich.
No,
too late.
It's
That's
not a
what
real
Trevor said.
dish.
I am going with the capybara. It's been on my mind lately.
That's that
Elevation mid.
one.
Oh,
I hate when he's listening, bro. You know I hate it.
Silas, what is it? He's not telling me.
I'm gonna go with the vulture.
You think anyone at home could hear you whisper?
Yeah,
I could hear
I could
him.
hear it in my headphones, so I know they could.
I'm gonna go with the.
Did you hear me?
We have a raw audio.
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can't
Well,
guess.
I'm
me
hearing-
if I get it right.
I'm hearing what.
Yeah, it's on the record.
I'm hearing what they will hear, and I heard him.
You know what? I'll say it loud. Vulture. I said
Thank
vulture,
you. Thank
Silas.
I am
hates
gonna
that.
go with.
I hate it because now I know I lost.
I'm gonna go basic here, and I'm gonna go with a
You're stuck.
destroyer.
Icon Edition Gauge.
So close.
I didn't even know we had Legacy.
I
in the
would have
retail store.
never ever guessed that.
He was right this time. We would never guess that.
Gauge. I could have never gauged.
Great mid range
that.
though. Basically a Mako, not Mako 3. Basically a Mako,
Yeah, let's go.
which I don't think they Mako them anymore.
I'm gonna swallow my microphone on next week's episode.
All right, we'll see you then.